Hello, Ken. How are you this fantastic? It's actually evening, but the light is still on outside.
Yes, the light is still on, Dan. The sun is still shining. I'm doing fantastic this evening. How are you?
I'm excellent. Wait, so God doesn't just like turn a switch and turn the light
No,
off? I'm
no,
confused.
no, no.
I thought it worked
It's
that way.
crazy.
You know what? Do you know what? Today,
What?
today is the day.
I love that.
What does that even mean, though, Ken?
Well, what it means is that today is actually my 28th anniversary. My husband Bob and I met 28 years ago today. Actually, right around this time, I was at church and he was going to be attending, unbeknownst to me. And we would end up going out for dinner afterwards with other members of the choir and exchanging numbers. And that was it. We would literally be together every weekend since. He would move in 3 months after we met. We merged our finances 2 months after that. And we haven't looked back once. So today is the day, I think, Dan, is about the importance of marking events and occasions and celebrations, and the fact that we need something in our lives to break up ordinary time. We need something to mark really special occasions, and we need something to mark occasions that may not be so grand, but that are important to us. So this anniversary obviously is really, really important because we got together at a time where we couldn't legally get married. And in 2013, that changed, and that was a very, very happy day. And we're really grateful for that opportunity that we had. And so tonight we're going to have a great dinner, enjoy some champagne, look back at the past 28 years, and then look ahead to what we want to celebrate together. But I was thinking too, just a week or so ago, we had friends come in from Los Angeles. It was the first time we had seen some of them since the lockdown began 2 years ago. And we got together to celebrate that, just to celebrate our friendship and the fact that we had been friends for as long as Bob and I had been together, a little bit longer actually, because I was going to that church prior to meeting him. In fact, a couple of people there, we had been friends for 30 years. And there wasn't anything special about the day itself other than it was a chance to be together, to be thankful for friends, and to recognize and mark the event. And I just hope people in this really, really uncertain and crazy time in which we're living take time to just do something to mark special events, whether it's something as big and grand as an anniversary, whether it's just to celebrate that you've been friends with people for a long period of time, even something smaller, it doesn't matter. It's really important that we do things symbolically, ceremonially, to set apart events that have happened in our lives so that we can cherish them and give them their proper due. That is what today's all about.
So if you watch the video of this, you will look in the background behind Ken, and it says "Best Day Ever." You see that? Yeah, it says "Best Day Ever." So when I saw that, I thought, wow, that would have been a better title than "Today is the Day," Best Day Ever. But let's go with "Today is the Day." At any rate, when we were preparing, and preparing is literally less than a minute. That means Ken and I go, what are we going to talk about? Right. And we came up with this. He mentioned it was his anniversary. And I let him know about my anniversary. And my anniversary is not anytime soon. But the cool part about this is that my anniversary is May 31st. And I got married in 2003. So we just found out that my oldest daughter will graduate high school on our 20th anniversary. So that will be next year based on when we're recording this. So that'll be May 31st, 2023. So we just thought that is a truly cool day, like the, graduation of our first child from high school and our 20th anniversary. But congrats to you, Ken and Bob, for their 28th anniversary of getting together. That's amazing. And what it made me think about was that all things are made up, right? And I'm not diminishing the coolness of your anniversary or the day you got together or today being the best day ever, any of that. But it's interesting how at some point in time, somebody makes up something, right? They're just like, oh, we should define this relationship. Like we should make it official. At some point, somebody at times said, like we should commit to each other, right? Or they did some sort of, and then in probably old days, they had like tribal commitment ceremonies or whatever, like depending on where you lived in the world at what period of time. And then when religion came about, they're like, we're going to formalize this, under God. We're going to make a commitment under God. And then, when there was a legal system and different ways of breaking up regions, they wanted to, put something to it. So they made it like official with a court, right? And then they had to think about how does that apply to the IRS? But when you think about it, it's like at some point, somebody just had to make this up. There's like, how can we make this like memorialized, more official, defined, like put some nature to this. And what that relates to me is how when we are living our lives, oftentimes we are putting weight to things, and we forget that the weight that we're putting upon it is just usually made up by us, right? Like we're kind of going like, this is important, but why is it important? Because I said it was important. And what I'm a little off here trying to explain this, but hopefully I can connect these dots and come back around. My wife made a comment to me yesterday, actually, about how I'm a stickler for what I say I'm going to do. And I said, that's because I committed to it. And the moment I commit to doing something, I can't not follow through. Like it would just feel so against my principles, my morals, my values, like whatever that thing is. But if I didn't say I was going to do it and somebody calls me out, let's just say this, like, oh, I thought you were going to do that. You should see. That would be like my trigger point. That's the one thing that irritates me because it's like, wait, we never agreed upon that. We never defined that. We never set those expectations. So hopefully bringing that back to like my original point is even that is made up. All of these things are made up. The things that we define as like this means something or doesn't mean something is just made up. So when we're looking at a definition of a relationship or an anniversary, Ken can speak to it on his own, but it's like he literally just got to make that up because at the time he was defining that, he didn't even have the option to go memorialize it legally, right? Or I don't know if his church would allow it at that time, but I don't know if the church would say, yes, come on in, we're going to do some ceremony for you. So he just got to define for himself. It's like, we are choosing to say, this is the date that we are going to define as our anniversary. We are memorializing this date. So forever, as we move forward, we're going to look back and go, yep, that is the date we're going to look back and say, this is our anniversary. But they got to just make that up. And I think the positive about that all things are made up is that it's living life on your terms. You get to make up whatever you want. Like you get to define what things mean. You get to define your own rules to how you're going to live your own life versus having to live it based on what someone else tells you. No, sorry, this is the way it is. You're like, no, today is my day by my definition because I just choose for it to be. I don't have to wait for someone else to validate that or for them to memorialize it in their own way or tell me this is legal or allowed in any way.
And you're right. At the time we were left with, well, what do you do? There's no like typical path, right? You meet and it's like, oh, so we'll declare that we're engaged and then we'll go down to City Hall and get our license and then we'll go get legally married. It's like, nah, it's not even an option. So what were we going to do? And we talked about the fact that we were both drawn to ceremony. We were both drawn to ritual. And we wanted to do something to memorialize that we were together. And this was many years after we had met that we decided to formalize it in church. We were fortunate enough to go to a church where we were allowed to have a ceremony to bless our relationship. And it was beautiful. It was exquisite. We loved it. And as I was saying to you earlier, we returned there 10 years to the day later to be able to actually have a ceremony in which our priests could sign the wedding certificate. That was another way of memorializing what had happened. I'll take this back one step, though. When we had gotten together, there was a few years after we got together, the then mayor of San Francisco, Gavin Newsom, decided that the city and county of San Francisco would recognize marriage equality, same-sex relationships, and they would marry people at City Hall. So Bob and I flew from Los Angeles there in our suits and no luggage. It was fun to travel with no luggage. Friends of ours had like reserved a place in line for us. We got to City Hall. It's magnificent if you've ever seen it. We got legally married by his definition. We got our certificate. It felt amazing. We went to, I don't know where it was. It was some burger joint afterwards. That was our wedding celebration, was a burger and fries and a shake. Got back on the plane, flew home. 6 months later, we got a letter from the city and county of San Francisco saying your marriage is null and void. And we knew it was coming. We knew it wouldn't stand a legal challenge. We knew that he wanted to do this to drive the issue forward. But to have that ritual that we had gone through, which was really quite beautiful, to be there in that exquisite building and to pledge our love to each other and to exchange rings in front of people we didn't know who had volunteered to be our witnesses. It was so meaningful and so moving and so important. Then to have that declared null and void, it was really gut-wrenching. And it made us realize and appreciate the importance of those ceremonial moments where we mark occasions in life. They're not all going to be, at this level of marriage or the birth of a child or something like that. But man, the importance of them just can't be understated, because otherwise time just runs into each other, right? The whole year just becomes a blur. That's why I think people love, the holidays. It's Thanksgiving, it's Christmas, it's Easter, whatever it happens to be. We appreciate looking forward to those things because it gives us a way to divide the year. Gives us a way to take a year that could otherwise feel like one giant flow and actually pause for a moment, right? And just stop and appreciate something. It's weird. My first thought tonight, it's been a busy weekend. I just finished up my dad's taxes. I'd just done ours the week before. There's a bunch of other stuff going on. And I thought, maybe we'll just delay, we'll celebrate the anniversary sometime during the course of the week. It's like, we don't need to do it tonight. And then I caught myself and I thought, come on, man, this happens once a year that we do this. It's like whatever I had planned for tonight, beyond doing this recording with you, Dan, whatever I had planned for tonight, I can wait a day. It doesn't matter. And then all of a sudden, everything shifted. And I got in this space of celebration, and I got in this space of appreciation and gratitude and joy. And that's why I think memorializing things, that's why I think, calling it the best day ever. That's why I think this stuff is so important. I think we actually need it as human beings.
I'm sure all of you have seen those calendars where usually it's preparing for Christmas, and it has a little chocolate inside. So you open it up and, like day 1 through day 25, usually something like that. Like it might be in December, like basically the countdown to Christmas. So that makes me think of this topic of today is the day, and how there's 2 approaches to looking forward to a day. There's counting forward and there's counting down, like, counting down from the starting number down to 0 or 1 or whatever. And I was trying to think, like, what's my opinion? Like, what is a better approach? And I think it depends on if you're starting something new or going towards something that you have almost like no control over. So these are the 2 scenarios that made me think of some sort of date that's important to you. So the first is if you're looking forward to like a date in which, like that example of like a graduation day, you're like, 30 days till graduation. So you might have like a countdown calendar, like you're like writing out, you're looking at a calendar and checking off the days, 30, 29, 28, or like rewriting a number. But I was thinking one of the things that I memorialize is the start of something. And it's exciting to me, where I've seen a lot of people, it almost like is demoralizing to them. It's almost like intimidating to them. Let's just say you set out to do something for 30 days. We'll use that example. So I'd say, okay, go like have a whiteboard or have something like that where you write that number, like 1, like you just followed through and did your thing for the first day today. So write that number 1, right? And circle it. And then tomorrow, as you do it, erase the 1 and write a 2, and then keep doing it. So you're like you're counting every day because that day is important because you like follow through and you're moving up. You get to see that number grow. And there are obviously other ways of representing that. Some people might like a graph, right, where they fill up. Right? You've seen that where people do that to raise money for something, and they're watching like it grow and like until they hit their number, their eventual goal. But I actually think, in answering my own question of like, what do I like better? I like watching things increase, and I like watching things grow, right? It's almost like the flip side is like watching your gas tank go down, 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 and now we have to pay $1 trillion for gas. So you're like, oh no, I have to go to the gas station. Can I afford to fill up my car? Oh no. But anyway, so I'd say like fill that up, but make each day like the day, right? Like give yourself that credit, give yourself that reward every single day by going and putting that extra number on, right? Or filling up that chart, like, filling in the extra day. Like it's giving yourself not just credit, it's like a mini reward. And that really works with our brain. It's like that reward system of looking at each day, not as just like, oh, same old thing or part of my routine or this is my new habit, but it's really going, no, I did that, right? Like I committed and I followed through. So make the first day as exciting to you as day whatever, 30 if you're on a 30-day journey, whatever journey you're on. But as that thing grows in number or filling up the chart, make every day important to you and memorialize each day with something that you give yourself credit for doing.